FanDuel is the #1 place to be if you're using any sportsbook in the world. And right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action than right this minute. The app is so easy to use, and they have a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And we talked about all the different things FanDuel offers. Well, how about this bet you couldn't bet on yesterday? And our guy, Kyle Schuler, won. He bet $5 on both teams to score in every quarter of Thursday Night Football.
No
12
way.
to 1. Bet 5, 160.
Wow.
So shout out to Kyle Schuler. That's what FanDuel has. Player props and fun little oddball bets like this.
That bet would make me nervous as hell.
But it's a fun one. You get to
It
root
is,
for
no,
points.
it's very
Yeah.
fun. But, I mean, I wonder how many NFL games that holds true, where both teams score in all 4 quarters.
Less than half.
I would
Yeah.
think so,
Oh,
too,
for
just off
sure.
the top of my head.
Yeah.
Especially now, in this
Yeah.
era of, stiffened defenses and points are harder to come by.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow. $60. I would have thought it would have paid more. $5 bet?
Yeah, it's 12 to 1 odds. So,
Yeah.
or 11 to 1 odds, essentially.
That's pretty cool.
It's
That
pretty
is
good,
a fun
pretty
bet.
Good. Yeah.
Very fun bet. All right, you mentioned it. Joe Flacco, not a member of the Browns yet. He's coming in for a workout. And let's go around the horn here and see what we think about that. Bull, you like it?
I mean, listen, I'm excited. Nobody's gonna be excited about Joe Flacco. He doesn't have much left in the tank. However, he's probably better than what they got. So yeah, I do like it. He's a veteran. Again, I said what I said about Matt Ryan the other day holds for Joe Flacco. Even though I think Matt Ryan's a little better, but he's been, Joe Flacco is not doing TV. So you bring in the veteran. You say to him, hey, listen, we may need you in a couple of weeks. We're going to see what DTR has. If DTR plays well, I start him the rest of the year. If he's terrible, in the next week or two, I go to Joe Flacco.
I
There
love
you go.
that stat at the bottom.
Yep.
He likes playing in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Sure
Now,
does.
My goodness.
Last year he played 5 games for the Jets. The team was 1-3 in the games he started. Of course, the one win was against
one
the
was
Browns
here.
in that crazy
Yeah.
comeback. He threw 5 touchdowns and 3 picks, but he fumbled 5 times. So in total, he had 5 touchdowns and 7 picks. 7
5
turnovers.
touchdowns and
7 turnovers last year.
I thought it was 8 turnovers.
No, he fumbled 5 times, but only lost 4.
Oh,
And in,
okay.
the last 4 years, and Bull brought this story.
Yeah, I brought-
pull Tagboard back up real quick, but he's been in and out of the starting lineup. He's had a couple
Right.
gigs. He's been out,
Yeah.
in, out,
There you
in,
go.
out.
20
over the last 4
touchdowns,
years.
19 turnovers. That's bad, but it's a lot better than PJ Walker, and so far better than DTR.
Yeah. Jay?
I just don't get why they wouldn't have done this earlier. That's what I like. You knew PJ Walker, Phillip,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So why didn't you make this move 3 weeks ago? And that's why I thought when I was on with you guys, whatever day outside the facility, I thought they would go practice squad off another team, only because Flacco's been out there all year. So if you wanted to go this route, you should have done it a month ago when you saw that Phillip wasn't quite it. I do like what a veteran like that can bring, just in terms of the film room and how he can help DTR on the sidelines on film. He's a veteran. He's seen it all. So that sort of leadership and mentorship is far more important than anything he can contribute on the field. He doesn't fit their mold. The Browns have tried to keep all these quarterbacks the same in terms of what they can do, their abilities. Flacco's a statue. He can't move at all.
He's the antithesis of what they have.
Absolutely. So the protection really has to hold up if
Yeah.
and when he ever gets in there.
Right.
Well, that's
So-
why he's had so many fumbles, because he gets hit.
Yeah, he can't move.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing in New York.
So-
Like he was a
yeah.
target.
And maybe they didn't bring him in earlier. Maybe he had no interest in being on the practice squad. Maybe he's got an ego and a veteran. He's been around this long and thinks I'm not going to come back in for a practice squad spot or whatever else.
Well, maybe he was thinking, well, with Watson healthy, I'm never going to play.
Yeah, I
but
don't know.
now he's got a chance to play.
Well, we talked about that
Yeah.
when I was on the other day, that, hey, these guys have to want to do it. I don't think
Right.
Matt Ryan ever had any interest in coming back to
Right.
an NFL team. Why? Why should he? Look at the money he's making, the money he's already made.
Right.
He has no interest in it. Flacco's made a ton of money too, but clearly I guess he's still interested. So we'll see. I think it could be very helpful just in what he can provide and experience. I don't know if he's really going to be impactful on the field.
Yeah, I think the Browns did this for multiple strategic reasons. One of them is they know that Joe Flacco can get hot. He's shown it before. Joe Flacco, when he won the Super Bowl, they were the team that went on the road as a wild card team 3 straight weeks, got it done, and went to the Super Bowl and won.
Played great that postseason.
Played great that postseason.
Gambled on himself.
Yeah. 2, on top of that, we just saw Joe Flacco smoke us here. We just saw him lead a comeback here I thought derailed our season last year when we lost to the Jets in the way we did, 10-1 over here. Third of all, now number 3, he knows the division. He knows exactly. He's played against Harbaugh. He's played against the Bengals. He understands the division. He understands what the climate is like, and he knows what it feels like to have to be able to play these teams. And then finally, I think that the Browns are saying something to us. Look, PJ Walker can be mobile all he wants. He still throw picks, and he still can get sacked and drop the football. I think what was best for the Cleveland Browns, if they want to move forward, is you need somebody that people understand where you're going to be at. Joe Flacco will throw on time. Joe Flacco will get to his third or fourth progression or second or third progression. He's not going to ad-lib a bunch. And when you have the weather getting bad and you just want somebody not to turn the football over, I'd rather have a guy that knows where to throw the ball immediately and get it there rather than trying to extend plays and have turnovers.
Right, exactly.
Two other things, Jay. Two other things. If the Browns are dealing with a patchwork offensive line, which they have a little bit of right now, if Flacco goes in there, at least with that, the offensive linemen know he ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about, but what if he scrambles out there? He's not moving at all.
He's going to be on a spot the whole day.
And I would think, and I've never been a big fan of Joe Flacco, even when he was good in Baltimore. However, I got to believe that he's got a couple of decent games in him. A couple.
Sure.
He ain't playing great. He's not going to be consistently solid 10 games in a row. I don't see any way. But if they have to play him, he's probably got 2-3 serviceable games in him, even if he has some that are a little below that. PJ Walker's got none. 0. Zip, zilch. We don't know about DTR.
Yeah. If you build a continuum, you got really like on one side and you really dislike on the other side, I'm pretty much in the middle. I'm ambivalent on it, and I think your point of having a player coach on the sideline that can calm DTR down, I think is invaluable. I think my only question here is, this isn't a signing, this is a workout. Why just Joe Flacco?
I agree with that.
If I'm the Browns and I'm car shopping, I'm not just test driving one car. I want to kick the tires on a lot of guys. I want to see, what does Matt Ryan physically look like? Does he have a desire, to your point?
Right.
I would, think that there'd be 4 or 5 guys, names
Nick
that
Foles.
Nick Foles is one of them, guys that we've talked about, that they would bring in, kick the tires on all of them, and then instead of choosing, he's it or he's not, you've got 4 or 5 to look at and say, of all of these guys, considering the body of work, how long they've been out of the game, this person fits what we're looking for best. So I'm a little surprised that it's just Joe Flacco.
Now, in fairness, maybe I agree with you. I'm surprised they're not looking at options.
Right.
They maybe they're considering some guys on practice squads. Those guys they can't bring in for a workout, obviously.
They can't.
So that might be it. Maybe maybe Ryan just has no interest. Maybe Foles has no interest in this point.
Have you heard, Jay, that they are calling anybody else?
No, I haven't, but I haven't asked that.
Okay.
But usually how this goes, my guess is yesterday was not the first time they talked to Flacco.
Sure.
My thought is that they've probably been in contact with him for the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
And they've probably settled on that. And these guys, say what you want, they're proven older guys with egos, and you're not going to bring in Flacco and put him next to, we'll use Matt Ryan, and say, okay, now go compete.
No, I don't think you do it at the same time.
And that's where I was going. So if they don't like what they see out of Joe today, well, then they're not going to sign him, and maybe they go to
Candidate
someone
number
else
2 comes in.
next week. But clearly Flacco's
but the
their
clock's
top option.
ticking.
Yeah,
There was
but he
some-
wasn't going to play this week anyway.
There was something that was said, I think I read it yesterday, that said, because Matt Ryan was cut, they still owe him money. But if Matt Ryan was to come back and take another job, he would get whatever league minimum they gave him, and he got cut for a substantial amount of money. So if he stays in the booth, he gets that money. But if he doesn't, I think the Colts are off the hook for.
Well, it
that.
should be that they would be prorated
Just
from what the
offset.
Browns.
Yeah,
what
It
the
is
Browns.
offset.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
90% sure it is
He
offset.
would still get the money.
But with,
I mean, at
always
this
think
point,
about-
at this point,
He
Matt
doesn't-
Ryan.
he's not counting beans.
I doubt he's not. He's coming back.
Now,
But
maybe Nick Foles, who wasn't a career starter and signing franchise deals,
Right.
maybe a guy like that might sit on the sidelines and collect a big paycheck as opposed to coming here
Right.
and working for league minimum. I don't know. This is what I immediately said the things I love about Joe Flacco and the things I don't love about Joe Flacco. And the guy won a Super Bowl, and he did it betting on himself. I thought that was one of the ballsiest things I've ever seen a player do.
Yeah.
He decided to go into the final year of his deal, and he said to the Ravens, I'm good. I'm betting on myself, knowing that he had a great defense. I can do enough to get this team over the top. I don't think there's much disagreement. That was the best he's ever looked in the NFL.
And then
Do you
cashed
guys
in big time.
remember-
And he wrote the Ravens had to write the check, and he got paid for
Yep.
that. I like a guy that believes in himself so much.
He bets on himself.
He's
Yeah.
betting on himself.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's going to be a big factor. If he's playing at all here, it's probably a bad sign.
Yeah.
It means DTR had more bad games.
Real
Mike.
quick, and Jason, I want you to chime in on this, but do you remember just how good Joe Flacco was in that 2012 playoff run?
Oh, yeah.
I just said it.
Great.
No, I know, but do you remember the actual numbers?
He
of
was
that?
fantastic.
Remind us. I just remember him being
I don't think he's done anything
really
good
clutch.
since.
No, it's the
he
best
hasn't done
stretch of
anything near
football
that
in his
since.
life.
But in the 2012 playoffs, and I looked this up because I remembered it being good. I didn't
Look,
remember
he
it
had a
being
incredible.
turnover.
this
Yeah.
good. In 4 games, he threw for 285 yards a game, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions with a 147 QB
That's
rating.
nuts.
Wow.
It's hard to play better than Joe Flacco did
On the road.
during that stretch.
That-
and
you know what that
G's
is?
right. They were on the road in 3 of those 4 games.
That's a guy going to the blackjack table, knowing he has a system of counting cards and knowing he can't lose. And when you get on those rolls in life, sometimes they perpetuate what comes next. And I think that was one of those instances where we watched in real time, and everybody in the sport said, where did this come from?
He was splitting kings and doubling down on eights.
Yeah, and everything worked. He's sitting on 20 and asks for a card and gets an ace. That was just the kind of a season that he had.
Yeah.
So I know he's been much maligned since because he's been bad. There's no other way to say it. But I think he can be a good presence in that quarterback room.
That's it.
A veteran voice that, like you said, Jay, in the third quarter after a big pick that flips the field, DTR comes to the sidelines. I want to hear what Joe Flacco has to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or helping them diagnose and break down film before it
Sure.
starts.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like looking for little things over here. This is what you should be doing, or how you should move. They needed to get a veteran for a number of reasons, and one of the biggest reasons is if DTR is playing in a playoff game or playing in a huge game, and you don't have any wherewithal to understand certain things. He could talk him out of certain things before he even does it. He gives him a little insight. So that's why I like the veteran. It didn't really matter whether he can run or not. I just like what he could bring.
I know we're talking at regress, but it straws at both of these guys. But if I had to choose between Flacco and Foles, I'd take Flacco.
You would?
Yeah.
Well, how about you guys? Flacco or Foles?
Flip a coin.
I mean, they each have a Super Bowl.
50-50.
Yeah.
We have no idea what kind of shape they're in.
Yeah.
It's so
Flacco
it's so
played.
hard.
And Flacco played a little more last year. Flacco played 5 games. Foles played 1 game. He threw 2 games through 4 picks.
I
No
saw
touchdowns.
Flacco lead a last second drive against the Browns where they couldn't get him off.
And
the
that
field.
was like one of the most unlikely wins statistically in NFL
That was his,
history.
and that's his last win.
Now,
right
I know that we sort of olayed the door for that to happen.
Sure.
But he did it. He
Yeah.
still had to make magic happen, and he did it.
Bottom line is, if he's on the field for them, something.
No, it's a bad thing.
It's a really bad
It's a bad thing.
Playoffs are probably
unless
over.
Unless there's an injury to DTR. If he's
listen,
playing
crazy-
poorly and he gets replaced,
Yeah.
now you're on your 4th quarterback in the
Guys,
season.
crazier
That's never
things
good.
have happened.
Right.
Who knows? Listen, and I'm not writing off anything at this point this year. Any crazy thing can happen. Obviously, it's not good that Deshaun Watson's hurt. The Browns' chances of getting to the playoffs, winning in the playoffs, doing everything are lower now. But, who the hell knows? Defense has picked... defense is, I agree. I don't know that we're fully in a defensive era yet, but it is, at least this year and a little bit last year, is swinging towards defense. Now, there's other good teams in the AFC, like Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Kansas City, who also have good defenses, and in 2 of those cases have much better offenses than the
Right.
Browns. But, who knows? But I'll throw this out there. If DTR does play like absolute crap against Pittsburgh, it wouldn't shock me if Joe Flacco started the following week.
Well,
No, he is.
It's going to be desperate time.
Yeah.
He's gonna be playing.
Before we hit the break here, and I know we're chasing it, I just want a quick answer from all of these guys on something that hit me last night when I was watching the Thursday night game. And I don't know how this compares to other seasons. In my mind, it's more than we've seen in the past. But they'd mentioned that here we are, week 10, 49 different quarterbacks have taken snaps in the NFL.
It could be, started or taken snaps?
Played.
Okay.
Now, if they said started, I missed that.
Okay.
But I think they said 49 different quarterbacks have played.
Yeah.
That tells you that more than half the teams have used 2 quarterbacks.
AJ, that's start, by the way.
Okay,
It
that's
is
a
start.
bigger
Even worse.
stat. I think that's a bigger right.
And it's going to be
So-
50 next week probably because Jake Browning's going to start for the Bengals.
Exactly.
Probably.
And he hadn't started
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So I mean, that's a stunning number to me. Do you guys think that will lead to a shift in the way teams currently view backup quarterbacks?
Yes,
because
and
we've talked about it.
they should.
They don't really. I mean, everybody has said, well, if Deshaun gets hurt, our season's over. Well, I don't know that should be the case when half the teams are losing their starting quarterback, at least for a stretch.
It's the reason why when you buy a mortgage on a house, they make you have homeowners insurance. They don't let you buy a $500,000 house and say, well, if the flood comes, if the tornado hits, we're screwed. No, they make you pay for it. Like, if you got a top-notch quarterback, you have to start allocating and thinking about, like, what's best for my team. If I know that the quarterback is so important, why are you devaluing the person that comes
do you
in
guys
after
agree
that?
with that?
I think what's happened, and I don't even think it's about all the injuries this year. It's more about for the first time in a very long time, the swing back to defense. Because for much of the last 10, 15 years, if you lost your starting quarterback, you were done. So it didn't matter if you had a good backup because it wasn't going to be good enough
But
to
now
win.
defense can still carry a team.
Now we don't know yet. Can a
Right.
team like the Browns or Steelers with terrible quarterback play win? We'll see.
Right.
We'll
Hasn't
see.
happened yet.
But if that happens, like you can't even Foles, he played great in that postseason.
Awesome.
If he had not played, even though he's a nothing in his career, if he had not played great, they would have lost. You can't win in the playoffs with the quarterback playing like
I think
crap.
he was the Super Bowl MVP, wasn't he?
Right, he was great
So,
in that
Jay,
postseason.
do you think that they'll look at things differently?
Well, no. Here's the problem: you can't when you have a top quarterback, and we're talking elite status. It's the dollars that you commit to him. It makes it really difficult to commit significant dollars to a spot that doesn't play.
But isn't it throwing bad money after good money if you don't have
if there's no
a
salary
quality
cap?
backup?
Yeah. But I'm telling you, it comes down to the
So
the
it's a
numbers.
percentage of the assets that you're allocating
Yeah,
to one
and
position.
It would be a better world if the quarterbacks were not had their own salary cap.
If it was
Listen, that's been talked about, and I think
Yeah.
I would love it if
If that happened-
each team gets one salary that they can exempt from the
Right.
cap.
then you can devote more resources to
Right.
it. But
Right.
when you're spending the number that you are at that one position, it makes it difficult to justify spending a massive
No,
percentage.
I agree with that.
And that's why
At
no
a
big
spot that
spending
doesn't
team
play.
has a
I'll
high-paid
ask the
quarterback.
question before we move on. Would you rather have a rookie 5th round corner being your 4th or 5th corner, or a solid quarterback that could come in and
But
win you
it's
2
not,
that-
games?
it's
it
not
doesn't-
that. It's your starting defensive tackle, or you're rotating in defensive tackle. If you're paying them $8 million, $8 million, which is the going rate. If you're talking like a mid-tier quarterback, if you wanted to vote, what did Jacoby get this
He
year?
got
from
$8 million, I
Washington?
think, didn't he?
So if you want to spend $8 million, what's Elijah Moore making, or what's some of these defensive tackles
No,
making?
I-
that they
Somebody
brought
else
in?
somewhere.
That's
Yeah.
the trade-off.
Sorry, Mike,
would you
I
rather have
extended that-
Maurice
that
Hurst, or would
topic.
you rather
No,
have
you're good.
Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah.
I'll take Maurice Hurst.
Yeah.
Hey, for example, and this is just the actual cap hit this year of players who make more than $8 million, so more this year, based on the restructures, than Jacoby Brissett makes is only Denzel, Garrett, and Cooper, and Deshaun
that make more than 8.
in the cap hit according to Spotrac right now.
Yeah, so you'd literally be prioritizing your backup quarterback at that number as a top 5 player. And I don't know how teams can do that.
How much did Jacoby Brissett make? What, $8 million?
But you can't go just off the cap hit. There's bonus money in there, and you can restructure deals and kick the can down the road.
It gets really confusing.
So that's. But the bottom line is, even if you have to pay him a signing bonus and a base salary, put that together. If that guy's making $8 million this year, do you really want to spend that $8 million, $10 million, $7 million, whatever it is?
In the end, they
on
should
a
have kept Josh
position-
Dobbs.
on-
They should have kept Josh Dobbs.
Well, or at least, I think we talked. I can't remember when I was in.
Okay.
You had an opportunity. You knew you had a need, and you didn't do anything about it. I won't even crush him for trading Josh in the first
Yeah,
place.
I'm with you, but the fact that they didn't make a bigger effort to bring him back when they knew that play at that
Him or
position was an
anyone.
issue.
Him or anyone.
Yeah, and I know Dee Dee was on yesterday, and she said, well, now we have the benefit of the results to make that argument. Well, look,
We were
that's
making that
what
argument
being
before.
a GM and a front office employee in the NFL is all about. Speculation. Predicting who's going to hit and
Yeah.
who's going to miss.
And if
in this one,
DTR
they made
plays
the
well,
wrong
then
bet.
none of this matters. If he doesn't, it's very fair to be critical of Berry.
You're 100% right.
Let's just move on right to the next topic here, guys.